Dan here at Rosie and Maple. Today I just want to do a quick update on our Shurflo maple sap vacuum systems. I've got two different builds. One originally was done actually with an Aquatec pump, then my second build was done with a Shurflo pump. I've done some updates to both, and I just want to walk through those really quickly for you and explain the differences between the two different units and why I've got one built one way versus one the other. Also, I'd like to just provide a couple recommendations for some easier plug and play temperature controllers. When I first built these two units, there weren't, at least not that I could find, temperature controllers out there that had two different temperature sensors and controlled two different outlets independently, one for the pump and one for the heater systems. Since then, I've found a couple that I've not used, but I just want to put them out there. They're out there on Amazon. For those of you that are considering building your own similar units, I actually think I would give those a try before doing all of the custom wiring and everything that I've done with these smaller 12-volt controllers. It's worked wonderfully for years, but I just think it's a lot simpler for people who maybe aren't as interested in trying to understand the logic of the wiring and everything. Okay, so this is my traditional Shurflo setup. It's got the two temperature controllers like we talked about, one for the pump, one for the heater. The heater is just 120 volt, 100 watt strip heater. I've got heat sinks that it's kind of touching into down there to try to help distribute the heat. Then just independent lines for each line of sap coming in. I've got shutoff valves on each one. This helps. You can close these if you're trying to detect leaks and isolate leaks from your system while you chase them down, and then your vacuum gauge. So very simple setup, right? And I've probably got about 100 taps on this setup. This over here was my original. It's a much messier build, to be honest with you. There's a lot more going on inside this box. It's got the temperature controllers as well. I was also worried about maybe things overheating in here, so there's an over temperature third controller that you can't even see down in there. This is the strip heater mounted here. I've got, again, these little valves for each line coming in here. I've got maybe about 45 taps coming into this one. However, what I did, the original Aquatec pump is still down in the bottom, but I added a Shurflo pump in here as well. The reason I added the Shurflo pump is this setup and these 45 taps is actually about 40 feet down in elevation from where my holding tank is. So the Shurflo pump is going to be pulling the main vacuum, and it's plumbed then in series to the Aquatec pump, which is going to then push the sap uphill. So this is actually where it comes out. The sap comes out here. Okay, so it's going to suck it in through the Shurflo and then through the Aquatec and on up the hill. I ran this all last year. It was awesome. So both pumps are on the same temperature cycle control, and it worked awesome. So it pulled 30 inches, 29 inches very consistently. Now those 45 lines have a pretty good drop going to them. Or 45 taps have pretty good drop going to this box for each of the lines coming in here. But it definitely pulled the vacuum very nicely and was able to push it uphill. I used 5/16 tubing to go back uphill and into my bulk tank, and it worked wonderful. The other thing I did, it's kind of tough to see, there's a ball valve down here, and then this coming up here with another ball valve. This is so that I can actually just use the Aquatec pump to pull at the end of the season. If you've watched my tubing cleaning videos, I use one step or hydrogen peroxide, and I want to be able to pull in that solution through the Aquatec pump only and pump it up through all of my tubing and do my cleaning. So that way I don't expose the Shurflo pump to any of that fluid. It doesn't, the diaphragm in these isn't quite as robust against hydrogen peroxide as the Aquatec membrane is. So that's why I do that. So this is set up kind of for dual purpose. At the end of the year, this is what I use for doing all my cleaning. But just want to show you the concept of two pumps in series and being able to pull the vacuum and push the sap uphill. Okay, if you like this video, please be sure to like it and also check out all of our other sugar related content on our channel and subscribe. Hope you all have a great sugaring season, and I'll see you soon.